Hi, welcome to the Beer Tourist. My name's Steve. This evening I'm going to be discussing something that's probably happened to every one of us, where you've gone somewhere to see bits of, to try the local beers, and you find your local beers. Whether you've travelled 30 miles or 3,000 miles, it can be a bit of an annoyance. It's something that pubs do for their regulars, because if you don't leave your city and you want to try the beers from all over the world, the beers have got to come to you, and great pubs will do this. But as a tourist, you end up in a local city and none of the local beers were available. So we put out a tweet a few days ago, and I'm just going to go through some of the answers now, because I think they're great. And starting with one from Andrew Rodburn. It's a nice local one. He met up with some friends from Barnsley, and they went to Buxton for a couple of beers. And the pub they went into had Acorn Brewery beers having a tap takeover. So in Buxton, you would expect to find a load of Buxton beers, or even maybe some Torside ones. But to find your local brewery, it's okay. It's only 30 miles, but puts a bit of a cramp in the day. So you wander off and you find the next pub. By the way, I'm currently drinking something from Alphabet, non-fungible token. Stop funging my tokens. I'm a bit old-fashioned. I like beer to be called bitter or mild, or IPA, or even West Coast IPA. So yeah, you have to excuse me while I keep sipping my drink throughout this. It will mean that as this goes on, I'll probably get a little bit drunker. So the next one we've got, this is from Jim. First day doing the tap rooms in Newcastle. Pops into the full circle, only to find that they're having a Manchester tap takeover. So you've gone from Manchester to Newcastle to drink Manchester beers. 106 miles on that one. And next up, they're saying about New Mills and Buxton. Chris, don't know if you guys know Chris, but he's actually the brewer at Torside, and they've worked with Buxton here and there. So travelling from Torside to Euston Tap in London, only time he's been there, and it's got a Buxton takeover. A bit of an annoyance, as you say, it's minor gripe, because who wouldn't want to drink Buxton beers, but you'd kind of hope that you go down there and you're going to find a couple of beers from London. There's a lot of brewers in London. But the Euston Tap does serve for, it's sort of like, I would say for mostly for its local trade, but there's not a huge amount of people that live around there. It does cater a lot to sort of like commuters. Next up, this one did really make me laugh. Electrochemist went up from around Liverpool Way up to Edinburgh, only to walk into a Mad Hatter tap takeover. Now, the thing that this made me think about is that Gaz from Mad Hatter was a bit confused to see his sort of like his regular drinkers up in Edinburgh, and it's not something that, you know, as a drinker you really think about, that the people doing the takeovers could be a bit confused, that they can seem a bit out of place. It's like, I've walked up here, you know, I've travelled up here, we're meeting the locals up here, and what are my locals doing in here as well? So it's kind of funny when you get to that part of it. At least I found it funny. Oh, that was to Edinburgh was, I've got all these written down. That was 177 miles. So next one on to Glen here. He's went from Huddersfield to Cardiff. So to Huddersfield from Cardiff. Pops into the Sportsman, great pub, to find a Tiny Rebel takeover. That's 222 miles to find your local brewery. It's, yeah, you could find a few other places around there, but you would probably just head back to the Sportsman. I do really like that place. So the next one we got on here, Rob goes into a pub in London and found Fine Ales on. Now, Rob is from around the Glasgow area, travels 403 miles. We're into the high triple figures here now. 403 miles to find your local brewery. Yeah, it's starting to get a little bit on the more annoying side here now, and it's only going to get worse. We're going up in the miles here. So this one, Jay Lizzle, a beer bar in Antwerp. She's gone up from Manchester to Antwerp to find a Manchester tap takeover. At the 36 beers they've had, can you imagine this? You go into a bar that has 36 beers on, and you look at the tap list and, yes, it's got 36 beers on. You'd have planned to go there. 36 beers, and I drink 34 of them on a normal basis. Yeah, you'd be kind of a little bit annoyed, but I don't know what the other two were. They could have been some really, really good ones that you'd want to spend a night on. Or there might have even been some ones from Manchester that you've not really tried before. You'd really hope so in that sort of instance. So our next one here is craft beer in Cologne. So JT, he's gone from Carlisle to Cologne. A total of 494 miles. I have got these written down here. That's why I'm looking down from the screen quite a bit. And he's got 430, already forgotten that, 494 miles, almost 500 miles, and all of the beers except for 3 or 4 are from the UK. It doesn't say whether they're from, close to where he lives or not, but you go abroad, you go into a beer bar abroad, and it's all beers that you could get back home. So, yeah, that is getting a little bit annoying as well. And this one is, well, so, trip to Copenhagen, and this is from travelling from London, and he's, this one is really, really funny. A highly recommended beer bar, so obviously the work has been put in to find out where to go, not just looking at, not just using Google, asking people about it. Walks in, and not only is it from a local brewery, but the one that he works for. And I've had similar. It can be a little bit frustrating. I'm so frustrating a lot on this, but it kind of is. You walk in, you've done the research, you turn up, and it's the beers that you probably get for free because you work at the brewery and you just help yourself to the short fills. Yeah, I would be... I think that is very much a face palm craft moment, and you've got to laugh, otherwise you'd cry a lot. So the next one we've got here is Manchester to Copenhagen. This is a total of 611 miles, and went into Mckellar and Friends, known for having a wide range of beers, and very unusual ones that you don't normally get to see. And it's a Northern Monk takeover, especially when you live 5 minutes from their main pub in Leeds. That's a little bit gutting. That really is a little bit gutting. The next one, also Magic Rock, Northern Monk Bruco. This is going from Nesborough to Berlin. We're going into Wagon Bay there and having a Northern Monk Bruco takeover there. So that's 622 miles to drink a reasonably local beer. Next up, we've got this one from Mole to Grenoble to find a Thornbridge tap taker. 686 miles. Now we're getting to find your local beer. Next up, we have here Barcelona. So from Folkstone. So a little list of pubs. Worked out the crawl. He's talked to people. This is James. He's a brewer, really nice guy. Really loves his beer. So he'll have really made sure that he was prepared for this. He's gone to Barcelona, possibly on a day or two off, and pretty much he's just saying every single pub he went into had Simon and Moore beer on. Now, again, good beers, but you can get them. Well, I think you can get some of these in supermarkets now over here. So it's something that, for the people that live in those areas that drink in those pubs, to the locals, it's a great thing to see. And as they say, hats off to the distributor. They've got those beers over there. They've put them all into the pubs. The locals are loving it. But when you get them every day and you turn up from 688 miles away, you don't really want to see those. Maybe, keep a guest line or two for something that is a local beer, so chaps like James can get something that's local. This next one here, another one from Manchester, Krakow. I'm useless with names. Goes over there, find out that your apartment is next to a great craft beer place with 24 taps on, and all but 2 are from the local area, but from the Manchester Lancashire beers. 2.5 hour flight. 1,230 miles, and you've got your regular Saturday night drinking session. I reckon that's a little bit far to go to the pub. You could have just stayed stayed in Manchester, but change of scenery and all of that, I suppose. And next up, this is Beer Finder General. and he's gone to Toast in Brooklyn and found 5 varieties of J.W. Lee's Harvest on tap. Now, the thing is, that's probably the closest you're actually going to get them on draft. It's Lee's don't generally release the Harvest Ales on draft until a few years ago. If you wanted to get any of their beers, and the Lee's Harvest, you had to go to the Christmas market in Manchester to pick them up from a guy who sold them off there. You could, or a few random bottle shops that would stock them. Mostly, it all seemed to be exported to the States. So if you wanted to drink Lee's Harvest on tap, you had to go to the States to drink it. So if he did that deliberately, that's real dedication. If you just happen to turn up and see them there, it's a bit of a face plant, or face palm. Well, probably would be a face plant if you drunk all 5 of them. And now the last one, and this is back to Turning Point in Knaresborough again. Going all the way from Knaresborough to the Modern Times, to Modern Times in San Diego, 5,328 miles to find a Cloudwater tap takeover. First of all, kudos to Cloudwater to getting the beers over there, but walking into somewhere like Modern Times in San Diego, in California, and you find the beers, quite a few beers from a brewery that has done well to get itself into all of the craft bars in and around the UK. It's a little bit on the, well, I could have stayed at home, or, where else is there that I'm going to go and have a couple of drinks in? But this is, again, this is really is from the tourist side of things, not the locals. We have to, when we're doing this, remember that the locals, they're wanting to try all of these different beers, and unless they travel, the beer has got to travel. So this is and they are really keen to see these beers. So this tweet from Des shows, in Charlie's Bar in, I'm not going to try to pronounce it, Copenhagen, they had Fuller's London Pride on cask. Now, as a lot of people will or won't know, cask is not the easiest style or dispense to look after. So, they found out that there's this, he really knows his cellar work, he knows how to look after beer, he knows how cellars are run. So, they will keep trying to get him to try the beer and to see what they think it's like, or what he thinks it's like, even though he's just there to everyone and said, just give me your local beer, please. This next one shows another sort of thing. It's a bar in Barcelona that you go into, and they've got a couple of cask lines, and it's got UK beers on, and it was with some London-based folks, and it was London-based beers. At least then I'm kind of guessing that they had some keg beer on that they could have tried if they wanted the local ones. But for the local people, this would have been a great thing to have these London cask beers on. But if you're travelling over there, then it's not for you. Whenever you go into a pub, usually it's not for you. You're not the one that's in there every day or every weekend putting the money over the bar and keeping the pub alive and trading. But pardon. But this is something that we've got to remember. We've got to remember that the regulars, the locals, want to have something that they've never had before. That's the way that beer works, even before the craft beer market came along. This next one, I think is kind of hilarious. It shows this whole case of what we find could be normal. Other people may find it outstanding and rare and unusual. So on honeymoon in Crete, stumbled across a craft beer pub, and they're in their rare beer section for the bargain price of £8 was a bottle of Robinson's Trooper. I think that's about 99 pence in the supermarket these days. It's certainly usually on special offers. Decent beer. I'm not sure I'd describe it as a rare beer, and certainly not an £8 bottle beer. But if the locals saw in it and they're paying for it, absolutely fine. It's like quite a few years ago now, I was in Las Vegas and went into a bar with 100 taps, and some of those was Boddington's, Old Speckled Hen, Green King IPA, and it's not really what I would turn on and say, yes, great, that's the best example of English beers, but if people are liking it, people are drinking it, the bar's got to make some money. But to travel 2,400 miles to find that their rare beers, their unusual imports, is a bottle of something you can get for 99 pence at the supermarket, that's, distance could really take it into account there. And this last one that we're going for, it's another a case of this. Shanghai, 7,435 miles travelled, going into a craft beer bar over there, and one guest tap in there. So lots of local the beers that they make themselves. Brilliant. You want to go in and you want to find these places. We want to find these places. And the guest tap has got a beer on from 3 miles from your house. Yeah, great for the locals. That beer has travelled almost 7,500 miles. But for yourself, you could just pop down the road and grab it. So this is the sort of stuff that we're going to be looking at while we do these. We're going to come up with some more of these questions that we're going to put out on social media, ask you for your responses, and then film them while I progressively get drunk. The more responses there are to go through, the more I'm likely to drink. So it's probably worth it just for that. So please subscribe to this and follow us while we do all of our beer tourist stuff. Please comment if you've travelled around halfway around the country, halfway around the world, walked into a bar, that you've done your research, you've got the list of where to go, you walk in and it's a beer that you drink most nights. So if you've got any stories like that, please comment below and let us read them and share them with the world. Cheers.